This video is sponsored by PTCGLstore.com, a great place for you to buy Pokemon TCG code cards. Please remember to use my code NIGHT22 at checkout so that you can get a 5% discount. Thank you guys so much for your support and for your supporting PTCGLstore.com. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showcasing Metagross from the Journey Together expansion set. Metagross is a stage 2 Pokemon with 170 HP, it has 3 retreat cost, minus 30 resistance to fighting, and it is weak to dark. It has 2 attacks. The first one is Rackdown, which deals 60 damage. However, we're focusing more on its second attack, Conjoined Beams. For 2 psychic energies, it deals 130 plus base damage. However, if Metagross's pre-evolutions, BLEDUM and METANG are on your bench, this attack deals 150 more damage, for a total of 280 damage. With that amount of damage, you can pretty much knock out most basic and stage 1 EX Pokemon in the game. With regards to this mechanic, just watch out that you don't overfill your bench because you will want to constantly have 3 spaces for BLEDUM, METANG, and also Metagross. Setup for this build is quite slow, but it's actually not as hard as it looks. First of all, we'll be using Xatu as our energy accelerator, and it doubles as a draw support. With this ability, you can accelerate a basic psychic energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. And if you do, you can also draw 2 cards. So to start, what you'll want to do is set up as much BLEDUMs as you can on your bench. You can use Buddy Buddy Poffin to accomplish this. And then on your second turn, you can evolve into METANG and another one into Metagross with the help of Rare Candy. The technique here really is to keep your lineup of BLEDUMs on your bench every single turn so that even if your opponent knocks out one of your Metagross, you should be able to fully set up all 3 Pokemon on your board to keep attacking with a 280 damage. I'm using the Metagross Stadium to help find our other Pokemon in the deck. Also, you can easily recover pieces you need from the discard pile with the help of Night Stretcher. This will let you put one of either a basic energy or a Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. We also have Tulip, which lets you put up to 4 in any combination of psychic Pokemon and basic psychic energies from your discard pile into your hand. And of course, we also have Super Rod. As for the other cards worth noting, I did add a copy of Lily's Clefairy EX, more for going against Dragapult EX. With this ability, you can make any Dragon-type Pokemon weak to psychic attacks. I also have a copy of Cornerstone Ogerpon EX. Again, thanks to this ability, this can wall off a lot of attackers that have abilities, which can sometimes give you an instant win just by letting it sit in the active spot. This is really helpful in some cases, especially if your opponent cannot damage it. Then you can buy out a turn or 2 while you set up your board. I also added a copy of Luxurious Cape, which can help increase Metagross' HP to reach up to 270 HP. This can make it harder for your opponent to knock it out, however, they will take an extra prize if they knock out your Pokemon. And finally, for my Ace-Spec card, I will be using Neutralization Zone. This will prevent any damage done to our Metagross from any of our opponent's V or EX Pokemon. If your opponent can't remove this stadium, you'll have invincibility. And of course, with Metagross' high attack damage output, Metagross will be unstoppable. This Metagross actually reminded me of an old Klinklang that I showcased in this channel as well, which involves having its pre-evolutions also on your board before you can deal any damage. But this Metagross is actually a lot stronger for sure. Of course, the whole setup process is what makes this deck difficult to win with, but if you manage to get a good momentum, Metagross is actually quite a powerful attacker. One huge problem with the mechanic of this deck though is that if any part of Metagross' lineup is prized, especially your basic BLEDUMs, it can really hinder your setup, which can sometimes give you an auto loss. It's too bad that the Hisuian Heavy Ball is rotated out, but then again you can use the new redeemable ticket to exchange your prize cards with other cards from your deck. However, it's an extra step that can really slow you down in the long run, so that's a really big drawback for sure. Although this deck is nowhere near competitive, it's still a very fun deck to try out. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below. And now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing Metagross. Before we get into the video, I have a small request. If you're liking the content I create, please leave a like to this video and please support this channel by subscribing if you haven't already. This is a small click for you, but for me, it means a lot. Thank you so much for all of your support. On to our first match. I will be starting this one with Cornerstone Ogerpon EX in the active spot. We also have Natu on our bench, and that's going to help us to accelerate energies in the long run. And we are going first in this matchup. So we got an Ultra Ball for our first draw, but I'm just going to pass. I don't want to discard any of my resources right now. I'll probably just draw into more cards next turn with Iono. And of course, our priority will be to set up as much BLEDUMs on our bench as we can. For now, my opponent will start with Joltik in their active spot. And with the Nuzball, they set up Miraidon EX. And with the Tandem unit, they can search their deck for 2 more Lightning Pokemon to set up on their bench. And sure enough, this is the Iron Hands EX Joltik combo. They also have Pikachu EX. Joltik is just a very powerful energy accelerator. For just a single energy, you can search your deck for up to 2 lightning and up to 2 grass energies, and then attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. That's 4 energies for a single attack, which is pretty insane. You can use Judge. Alright, we got Buddy Buddy Poffin and a Professor's Research, so we're still okay. And with the Nuzball, they will set up Latias EX. Now, all of their basic Pokemon have no retreat cost, and of course, they can use Jolting Charge to accelerate energies to their Pokemon. And of course, they accelerate a lot of energies to Iron Hands EX. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and set up our Beldums. And then I'm just going to use Professor's Research. Alright, we got another Poffin. I'll set up another Beldum and a Natu, just in case my opponent targets Natu. I'll accelerate 1 energy, and then I'm going to end my turn. So next turn, I can evolve into Metang. We have Rare Candy, we just need another energy and a Metagross, and we should be able to attack next turn. So if my opponent retreats their Joltik, attacks with Iron Hands EX, Ogerpon should be able to survive an attack. Okay, they're gonna go for another Tandem Unit. And they're gonna set up another Iron Hands EX. Okay, they're gonna retreat their Joltik into Iron Hands. They accelerated an energy to Pikachu EX. They got Boss's Orders with Pokegear. And they're gonna boss Natu. Okay. Good thing we set up another one. I was gonna say they didn't have enough energies, but they had an energy switch. They switched an energy from Joltik to their Iron Hands. And with Ampy very much, they actually got an extra prize for knocking out our Natu. Well, that's to be expected. So for now, I'm just gonna evolve into Metang. I'll use Iono. I doubt we'll be able to evolve into Metagross. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. We got Reversal Energy though. If my opponent knocks out my Beldum, they're just gonna get 2 more prizes. I might just have to retreat into Ogerpon. Take a hit. And I'm just gonna end my turn. So next turn, I can use Ultra Ball to get Metagross. And then another Metang. So I should have a complete set. So that I can attack for a lot of damage. And we have Reversal Energy. So we should be able to take out this Iron Hands EX. Alright, they're gonna go for Arm Press, dealing 160 damage to our Ogerpon. Thankfully it survived. I'm gonna go ahead and use Ultra Ball, discard these 2, and I'm gonna get Xatu. So what I'm gonna try and do is... Let's see here. Let's go ahead and use Tulip first. I'll just recover everything. Might as well. Use Clairvoyant Sense to accelerate an energy to draw 2. Okay, we got our rescue board. That's... Actually, we needed that. Otherwise, we can't accelerate an extra energy to our Metagross. But we still can't complete the set, which is pretty bad for us. But I can try and attack for something. 170 HP can help us survive an attack from Iron Hands. I can attack for that initial 130 damage for the meantime. So they can attack... With their first attack, they can deal 160 damage, so we should be able to survive. And Ampia very much is not dealing that much damage either. And since their other Iron Hands EX does not have any energies, they can't take 2 prizes for knocking out our Metagross. So I think we should be okay for the meantime. They will switch into their Pikachu EX though. And they have Sparkling Crystal to add that extra energies of every type to their Terra Pikachu EX. So now they can attack for 300 damage. They're going to use Crispin to accelerate an energy. And then they have one to attach for turn. And they're slowly setting up for their Miraidon EX. And there it is. My opponent attacks with Pikachu EX, dealing 300 damage to knock out our Metagross. Well, I'm just gonna pivot into Ogerpon EX for the meantime. We got Counter Catcher. Thankfully, we still have 3 Beldums. Hey, we got a rare candy and a Metagross. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I can evolve into this. Can retreat. Power this up. We have Counter Catcher. I can take care of this Iron Hands. And then I'm just going to Conjoin Beams for 130 damage. We're not dealing a maximum amount of damage, but I'll take it. We get 2 prizes for that. But I thought they were able to transfer the energies, right? Oh, because the retreat cost has to be 4, but since their Latias EX is in play, their Iron Hands EX actually have 0 retreat cost, so it denied that Heavy Baton, the effects of it, so they couldn't transfer any of the energy. So that's a good thing for us. I mean, I'll take it. Otherwise, they would have fully powered up one of their other Pokemon, possibly Iron Hands or Pikachu again, to take another knockout against our Metagross. That would have been bad. But we have a chance at least. They're going to use Judge once more time. And we got a Metang. Hey, we can deal a full damage now. However, their Miraidon EX is fully energized and they took a knockout. And that's why you need a constant lineup of Beldums. Because, I mean, I guess we can still try and evolve here, but we don't have a rare candy. So with Tulip, I'm just gonna get Beldum and another Metang. So we'll set this up. Maybe we can get a rare candy with Clairvoyant Sense. Okay, we did not. Let's see here. I can evolve into Metang and just slowly evolve into Metagross. Let me just evolve this and then put Clef into play. I think I'll just have to draw into more cards. So I'm not too afraid of their Iron Hands because they don't have any energies on it. And then this Miraidon EX can't attack 2 turns in a row. So I'll just whiff that. That way I can draw into more cards. Grasping Draw. And we got Neutralization Zone. Okay, forgot about that. So what we can actually do is slow down even further. Slow down our opponent in that they should not be able to damage our Pokemon. But Ogerpon is a liability if they can boss it. For now, my opponent will use Crispin. And they're slowly charging up their Pikachu or their Joltik and their Iron Hands. Never mind, okay? You can use Super Rod to recover Pokemon and energies. Alright, mostly energies. So next turn, I can evolve into Metagross and a Metang. So we can deal 280 damage actually. And with the boss orders, I can target their Miraidon EX. But for now, they're gonna use Joltik once again to accelerate more energies to their Pokemon. And you know what? I'm gonna take advantage of the Neutralization Zone Stadium. So let's go ahead and just attach with Xatu. That way we can draw into more cards. And we got an Iono, alright. So we can play Neutralization Zone. I'm gonna boss their Iron Hands because this is what's gonna make us lose actually. So I'm gonna retreat. With Palpat, I'm gonna recover boss orders and Tulip. And then I'm just gonna Conjoin Beams to deal 280 damage, knocking out their Iron Hands EX to get us 2 more prizes. Alright, not too bad. And with 3 cards in their hand, hopefully, if they cannot replace our neutralization zone, Metagross should be immune to any of their attacks. And Ogerpon should be safe because a lot of their attackers have abilities on them. So we're just gonna wall off their attacks. Unless they power up their Iron Hands EX. That's the one that can knock out our Ogerpon. But as of right now, all of our Pokemon should be immune to damage. And there it is. Hey, we got boss orders from our top deck. Even better. You know what, guys? We're just gonna take a knockout against this Miraidon EX. The heart of the cards, guys. The heart of the cards. Good game. Alright, let's move on to our next match. I will be starting this one with Natu in the active. We also have BLEDUM and another Natu to spare on our bench. I will be going first. And we got an Ogerpon. Let's go ahead and put that into play. And I think I'm gonna hold off on my hand right now. I'm just gonna end my turn. My opponent will be starting with Duraludon in their active, so we can expect an Archaludon EX in this matchup. But at 280 max damage with our Metagross, we might have to 2-hit knockout their Archaludon, having 300 HP. But it looks like my opponent is also using Hop's Pokemon. With Hop's bag, they get Snorlax and also Zacian EX. They also have Choice Belt to increase their attack. And Latias to give all their basic Pokemon 0 retreat cost, or no retreat cost. So they can easily retreat their Duraludon, and for sure the Zacian EX is going to take a knockout. They'll attach an energy, and they're going to use Insta Strike. That will take out Natu, also dealing 30 damage to our BLEDUM on our bench. But Zacian EX doesn't have an ability, so we can't really wall off its attack. They can evolve into Archaludon, and if they have energies in the discard pile, they can accelerate it, and they could take out our Ogerpon. But then again, I need the lineup of BLEDUM, so I'll just sacrifice Ogerpon for the meantime. And we got a Xatu. Alright, at least we can evolve that. I'll just sacrifice these 2 cards so we can use Ultra Ball. And then I'm gonna get a Metang. That way my opponent can't snipe my BLEDUM to knock it out. We'll have more HP with Metang. So we got Rescue Board thanks to our Professor's research and a bunch of Buddy Buddy Poffin. So we can set up 2 more BLEDUMs, and with this one I'm gonna get Cleffa. I'll use Clairvoyant Sense, that way we can draw into more cards. Alright, we got 2 Metagross. That's gonna be good for our next turn. I'm gonna retreat into Cleffa, and I'm gonna thin out my hand as much as I can here. I'll attach an energy to one of my other BLEDUMs. And then I'm just going to use Grasping Draw to draw 3. So we got Masagoza, possibly to get us another Metang. But we can also use Iono. So we need a few more cards here to fully set up. My opponent will evolve into Archaludon EX, but they only accelerate 1 energy to Archaludon. And they're going to use Iono. Alright, we got a Metang. We needed that Metagross, actually. And they're just gonna take a knockout against our Cleffa. Again, dealing 30 damage to one of our BLEDUMs. We got a bunch of rare candies, but what we need is a Metagross. We can't use Tulip, we can't recover anything. I mean, we can recover Cleffa, but we also have Night Stretcher. And this Buddy Buddy Poffin is pretty much useless at this point. I might have to sacrifice another Cleffa here, because right now we don't really have much to work with. At least we can evolve into another Metang, and I'm just gonna stall a little bit here by bossing their Archaludon EX. I'm gonna use Cleffa to draw into 4. We're just getting a lot of Metangs, but not Metagross. Yeah, this is quite difficult, actually. If I can just draw into the neutralization zone, I think we should be okay. But they're gonna hard retreat. By discarding their energies, they retreat their Archaludon EX back into Zacian EX. And they have Prime Catcher, okay. And they switch out their Snorlax. Okay. And they're just gonna end their turn. Yo! And we got a Metagross from our top deck. Okay. And since we're behind on prizes, we can actually use Counter Catcher. Let me go ahead and use Arven. I'll get Earthen Vessel and Luxurious Cape. That way we can get an energy with Earthen Vessel. Discard Iono, get 2 energies. We can attach this, and then we can Clairvoyant Sense to draw into more cards. Accelerate an energy there. And I think I'm gonna... You know what? Let me get Pheasantipity EX. That way they can't draw into more cards. Right? And Conjoined Beam deals 280 damage, knocking out their Pheasantipity. Getting us 2 prizes. Alright. At least we're now even in the prize trade. Thankfully, my opponent's just been getting 1 prize at a time. And they're gonna promote their Archaludon EX. It's gonna be hard for them to retreat it though, because Latia's EX ability only works on basic Pokemon. So unless my opponent has a switch or they can accelerate a lot of energies to their active Archaludon, it's just gonna be stuck in the active. Okay, they're gonna use Iron Bundle to push out our Metagross. Might as well just put Ogerpon in the active, I guess. We're still gonna be immune to damage from their Archaludon. They can try and attack with Zacian. So it's fully energized now, but again, their active is stuck. Alright. I'm okay with that. So I think I'm just gonna 2-hit knock out their Archaludon. While my opponent is having a hard time drawing into more cards, hopefully we can 2-hit knock out their Archaludon, get 2 more prizes, and then we'll just target their Zacian EX at some point after this. So I'll just use Conjoined Beams to deal 280 damage to Archaludon, 20 damage shy of knocking it out, but we're almost there. We're almost there. And they're just gonna end their turn. Alright. That's not half bad. So let's just go ahead and finish off this Archaludon. Get 2 more prizes. And we got Reversal Energy. So that's not gonna be as useful now that we're ahead in the prize trade. But if we can get boss's orders, we can target Zacian or their Latias and then just win this game. But at this point, my opponent can still get 2 prizes. Tops Zacian EX's first attack can deal 120, so we can survive an attack. But they're just gonna go for the second attack, knocking out our Metagross. I was gonna say, if they had attacked with the first attack, they could take out Cleffa, but yeah, that's not gonna be helpful. Well, we can evolve into Metagross. We can set up BLEDUM. We got METANG. And you know what? Oh, my opponent concedes. Good game. Alright, on to our third match. We have Ogerpon EX in the active. We have Buddy Buddy Poffin. I'm gonna set up BLEDUM and a Natu to start. I'll attach an energy. And I'm just gonna end my turn. So, my opponent will be starting with Petcheron in their active. So this is the one that increases poison damage. They also have Perilous Jungle Stadium, again, to increase poison. They have Latias EX, Iron Bundle. And with the Ultra Ball, you're gonna set up another Pokemon. That's Guacabilly EX. Alright. You're gonna use Professor's Research to draw into more cards. Nest Ball for Brute Bonnet. They just need the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule to attach to it to poison both active, but they're gonna use Iron Bundle to push out our active, and we really have no choice. I'll just sacrifice Natu for now. There it is. The Booster Energy Capsule is found. They can now activate
Root Bonnet's ability. They still had Squawk and Seize to draw into more cards. Nest Ball for a Noibat. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Poison both active and with the ability of Petrant and also the Stadium. That's an extra 7 poison damage for a total of 8 poison damage counters between Pokemon Checkup knocking out our Natu. So I'm just gonna recover that. Let me go ahead and just stall a little bit. Although they have Latias EX, doesn't really matter. Just gonna use Professor's Research. We got more Buddy Buddy Poffin. All right, that's good. But some of our Beldums are prized. Actually, this is one of those instances where it's really, really bad for this mechanic. Because if you can't build your three Pokemon, it's not gonna work out. So I'll just, unless we take a prize and then we get our Beldums, we're really not gonna get that far. Well, at least we can evolve into Metang. And I'm just gonna use Grasping Draw. I think we'll have to just settle with our Metagross hitting for 130 every single turn, but as is, it's not gonna help us as much. So, I mean, they have Noivern. If this is the dragon one, we could possibly knock it out with Lily's Clefairy EX. We can get 2 prizes for that. But we do have Prospect for 2 prize knockouts, which could be good for us. But a lot of their Pokemon have abilities, so Ogerpon can actually wall them off to a degree. However, since they are focusing on poison, they can just easily poison our Ogerpon until it dies. So yeah, let's see if we can get through this match. So again, this is one of the downside to Metagross's mechanic. They discarded their Dragon type Noivern EX, but they have the colorless one. This is the new one. They're gonna boss my Metang. They can easily retreat their Brute Bonnets. And yeah, with the poison damage, I think this is the hit and run one. Yeah, Strafe deals 50 damage and then they can switch to one of their benched Pokemon. For a single energy, that's actually not half bad with the extra poison. So they knocked out our Metang and this is not looking good, guys. Slowly but surely, my opponent is just taking out our Pokemon one at a time. Let's go ahead and try our Mesagoza. We got Tails. That's not good. Let's see here. Let me get an Ultra Ball and a Luxurious Escape. Maybe we can survive some hits here by increasing our HP. I'll have to sacrifice these 2. That way I can get a Xatu, so I can fully energize a Metagross. Accelerate an energy, draw 2. We have Rare Candy to evolve. Attach an energy, we can attack. And then we can add HP with the Luxurious Escape. So we can easily retreat our Cleffa. And then I'm just going to take out this Petron to get our first prize. Hopefully we can get a Beldum. Alright, we got 1. So we can actually complete a 3 Beldum lineup now. We can get a Metagross, a Beldum, and a Metang. We just have to recover the other one. But yeah, that slows us down extremely. Just because 1 or 2, especially if your Beldums, 2 of your Beldums are prized, that's when this deck really goes down the hill. But we managed to get 1 thanks to our first knockout. We just have to figure out how we're gonna set this up. Especially our board is fully filled with Pokemon. We can only set up another Beldum lineup. So we'll need our opponent to knock out one of our other Pokemon here. But giving up a prize is not good. Thankfully though, the other Noivern EX blocks the attack damage of basic Pokemon. Since we are an evolution type, we shouldn't be too worried about it. But they're just gonna go for Strafe, dealing 50 damage. And they didn't switch. Alright, that's interesting. I think they're just softening up our Metagross. So we can set up our BLEDUM. We have 3 retreat costs, which is... I wish I could just use Cleffa so that I can draw into more cards. Well, we can't retreat right now. I'm just gonna use Metagross, see what we can get. We got heads, alright. I'll just get another Zatu. And then... I mean, I could just take another knockout, I guess. With boss's orders, I'll just take out this Petron. That way they can't increase their poison. And then we get another prize for it. Because if we just hit their Noivern EX for 130, they could just knock it out. They just need to put another energy on Noivern EX. They'll knock us out, but at least we took another prize. But this is going to be tough because we need to recover a bunch of our Metagross lineup. And then we have to give up another prize so that we can empty another space. But at this point, I don't know if we should even focus on setting up Metagross, METANG, and BLEDUM. Because at 4 prize remaining, my opponent's just continually taking prizes every single turn. So now they have Binding Mochi. They can poison both active. That will increase Noivern EX's attack by 40 more damage. And it's not even going to get hurt with that poison because they're just going to retreat back. So now they're hitting for 90 damage. With that poison, they will retreat back possibly to Petron. No, they're gonna go for Brute Bonnet. Alright, that was really weird. Well, let me go ahead and use Iono. Okay, we got METANG. Let's start to accelerate an energy there. I'm gonna hard retreat our Metagross into Cleffa. That way they can target it. Hopefully they can knock it out. Accelerate an energy back to our Metagross. Evolve this. And then I'm just gonna Grasping Draw. So we have Night Stretcher in our hand, which is pretty good. As long as we have BLEDUM in our discard pile, if they knock out Cleffa, that will empty out a space for us to put our BLEDUM. And then we can start hitting for 280 damage. We can even take out their Noivern EX with a single hit. Okay, again, they're gonna replace our Stadium with Perilous Jungle. I think that's why they retreated to Brute Bonnet, because it has 180. They know that they would survive an attack from Metagross's attack. So at 130, they can survive that attack. So they retreated and went from there, I guess. But now my opponent's Noivern EX is fully energized. They can use the second attack, dealing 200 plus damage. Oh, what's this? They're just gonna retreat into Brute Bonnet. Dude, I think my opponent figured it out. We don't want them to take an extra prize. We just want them to knock out Cleffa so that it will leave a space for us to set up our BLEDUM and increase our damage output. So, kudos to my opponent for figuring that out. That is one thing that wins you games, is understanding the mechanics of your opponent's build. So, if my opponent's not going to attack, I guess I'll just continue to take prizes. So we have another Metagross. That way they won't take an extra prize for knocking out our Pokemon. So we're just going to keep our Metagross with the Luxurious Cape safe on our bench. We're gonna take a knockout against their Petron, get another prize, and we got an Earthen Vessel. So this matchup has been very difficult for us, especially again, our Beldums were prized. We couldn't really set up the 3 Pokemon that we needed on our board. But now my opponent with the secret box, they got boss orders. They're gonna target Metagross with our Luxurious Cape. They have the energy to fully energize Noivern's second attack, knocking out Metagross. And because of the Luxurious Cape, my opponent gets 2 prizes instead of just 1. So this is really, really bad. And my opponent can just continue to attack with 200 plus damage, knock out our Metagross. I'm gonna use Iono. We got Masagoza to replace theirs, that way they can increase their poison. We got Rescue Board. I'm just gonna Grasping Draw one more time. Hey, we got Neutralization Zone. Do they have any other stadiums? All of their Perilous Jungles are in the discard pile, so I mean, we could negate their attack. Alright, they took out our Cleffa. They just need a boss orders to take out our Ogerpon. I think they're gonna win it. But I'll have to risk it because we have no other choice. Let's go ahead and use Clairvoyant Sense. Draw 2, okay. I'll just deal 130 damage. That's all we can do right now. If we can't recover any of our other Beldums, that's it for us. We can't increase our damage output any further. If my opponent has boss's orders, it's game over for us either way. But I know for sure Neutralization Zone is gonna stick. But unless my opponent has another stadium in their deck. But if they can target our Ogerpon, it's gonna be game over for us. Because they're hitting for 220, Ogerpon only has 210. And this Noivern EX does not have an ability, so it can most definitely knock out our Ogerpon. But did they draw into boss orders is the question. This Noivern EX just requires 1 more hit to get knocked out. Should be able to take it out. They have no other attacker. And my opponent concedes! I will take it! Yo! On to our final match. I will be starting this one with Natu in the active. Thankfully, we have a bunch of Buddy Poffins to help us set up more basic Pokemon on our bench. And we got Metang for our first draw. Let's go ahead and use up our Poffins. I'll set up 2 Beldums for now. And then I'll get another Natu and another Beldum. Again, you need those 3 lineups to actually allow you to hit for a lot of damage. But the problem is we don't have any trainers or support cards to help us draw into more cards. That's going to be a big problem for our next turn. We're going against Hops Pokemon. They have Hops Snorlax on their bench. They have Postwick Stadium, so now they have 2 attack modifiers to increase their attack. There's the Zacian EX. They have the energy to retreat their Fastendipity EX. And they have Hops Choice Band that will act as 1 colorless energy, powering up their Zacian. Now they used Insta Strike, knocking out our Natu, dealing 120 damage, but also 30 damage to our Beldum. Thankfully, we drew into a Xatu, and we do have the energy. I just hope we can draw into a supporter card here. Come on. We got an Iono. Alright, and a Buddy Poffin. I'll go ahead and set up another Beldum. I'll attach this Reversal Energy. Maybe we can draw into a Rare Candy. Yo! Heart of the cards, guys! We can evolve into Metagross since my opponent took a prize. Reversal Energy is activated and we can deal 280 damage to knock out their Zacian EX. That was an insane draw, guys. Wow. I didn't expect to draw into a Rare Candy and Metagross. And since we had that Metang to evolve, that actually got us that increased damage output, 280. Instantly knocking out their Zacian EX. That was pretty awesome. But now my opponent has set up their Hops Cramorant. We have 4 prizes. So Cramorant can only attack if their opponent has 3 or 4 prizes remaining exactly. And with all the attack modifiers, they can definitely, most definitely, take a knockout against our Metagross. So now they have Latias EX, they have Zacian EX once again. They're gonna go for an attack with Cramorant. There's the energy. And TM Devolution, alright. And they're just gonna devolve all of our Pokemon. I mean, they didn't take any knockout, but now we can't evolve into a Metagross because we actually evolved using Rare Candy. I can at least evolve into Xatu again. Maybe we can draw into another Rare Candy. Did we use up all of our RNG powers? Yes, we did. We got a Metagross, but what we need is a Rare Candy. I'll just take it slow then. I'll just evolve into another Metang. We have the Metagross, but I think I'm gonna go for a Yono. Okay, we got Metagross. That could help us to get the Pokemon that we need for next turn. I'll retreat into Cleffa for now. Let's go and try for Metagross. We got heads. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and get Metagross. And then I'll just Grasping Draw for now. Alright, we got a Rare Candy. So even if they target one of our Metagross, we have Rare Candy. We can evolve into another one and go from there. So we're looking pretty good. They're gonna use Prime Catcher though. They're gonna target our Metang with 2 energies. And with the attack modifiers, they actually need a Postwick Stadium to get a knockout here against our Metang. They used Metagross as well. They got heads, but their Pokemon don't evolve. They got Blood Moon Ursaluna. They're gonna go for a Yono. Alright, well, we still got Metagross, so I'm okay with that. So we got Metagross, we can evolve. Or actually, what we need is a Night Stretcher. Because if they end up knocking out our Metang, we need another Metang to evolve. That way we can get the 3 lineups of Metagross, Metang, and BLEDUM all in play. They're gonna go for Fickle Spitting, dealing 150 damage, taking out our Metang. So that gets our opponent another prize. We'll just pivot into Cleffa, we can easily retreat it. And we got Tulip, look at that. Our RNG is just so awesome, guys. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and use Clairvoyant Sense first. Attach an energy. I mean, I'm taking a prize for knocking out Cramorant, but they can easily knock out our Pokemon if they attack with Cramorant. But I don't think we have much choice, really. Could just get Metang with this Metagross. Evolve this. Evolve this. And then accelerate that. Discard this. That way I can draw more cards with Professor's Research instead of just using Tulip. Okay, we got a bunch of Night Stretcher. Beautiful. Set up another BLEDUM. So if you can keep up this lineup, this is the perfect example of how Metagross should be, right? So I'll just take a knockout here against their Cramorant. That's going to give us another prize. So slowly but surely, that's what we're just going to do. Just going to take out a bunch of 1-prizers, and then we'll just target one of their 2-prizers to win us the game. So in terms of prize trade, we are still at an advantage because my opponent has a lot of liabilities, as opposed to them just getting 1 prize each time they knock out our Pokemon. And after we take another prize, their Hops Cramorant should be useless moving forward, so we don't have to worry about that. And all we have to worry about is their Zacian EX. So again, you're going to use Fickle Spitting to knock out our Metagross. But yeah, I think we got this. We have an energy accelerator. We have recovery. So we're all good. And we even have neutralization zone. So with Arven, I'm gonna go with Super Rod. I just need to recover. And then we can use Rare Candy to evolve into Metagross. Use Night Stretcher for an energy. Attach that. And then we can Super Rod the rest. Yeah, I'll just get these two because we already have Metagross ready to go. Replace their stadium with Neutralization Zone. So the only attacker that they will have is Snorlax. And again, we're just gonna use Conjoined Beams to take another knockout against their Cramorant to get us another prize. And we get another Rare Candy. So we're looking pretty good, actually. We're looking pretty good. We just need 2 more prizes. If we can get a boss orders, we can finish this game. And a 260 Blood Moon Ursaluna EX is not surviving our attacks. But the problem... Oh, no. We're good. So we can evolve into Metagross. We just need to... Oh, they're gonna Iono, though. Okay, we have Earthen Vessel. Okay, get an energy, draw into 2 cards. And they deal exactly 170 damage to take out our Metagross. Alright. We got Lily's Cliff Fairy. Let's just take this out. Get a bunch of energies. And then Clairvoyant Sense to energize this. Alright, we got a Metagross. Evolve that. Attach this. Use Iono. We got a Metang. I'll retreat. Evolve this. And then Conjoined Beams. 130 damage. Get another prize. As long as the neutralization zone sticks, I think we should be fine. Unless they draw into the Postwick Stadium, that's gonna be bad. But if anything, we just need another Beldum. We're gonna counter catch our Zatu. But you know what? That actually leaves our Metagross alive. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, they could take 2 prizes. They just need a Postwick Stadium. Oh, they have Calamitous Snowy Mountain. They actually needed that Postwick Stadium to knock out our Zatu. If not, they're only dealing 90 damage. Plus, they also need Hop's Snorlax, which they got, alright. Dude, we survived the attack. Because that Postwick Stadium is what they needed. They can take out our Cleffa to get another prize for that bench damage from Zacian. Dude, that was actually a pretty close one. If they got the Postwick Stadium, that would have been it. So they took a knockout against our Cleffa, but we survived the attack. That's insane. And we got Buddy Buddy Poffin. Look at that. I think we have one more Beldum in the deck. We used up our Night Stretchers though. There it is. You know what, guys? We need to retreat. Oh, we got the rescue board and we got an Arven. Dude, we got all the things that we needed to actually win this one. That was a close one, but we got it. We just need to put a rescue board, retreat our Zatu, and my opponent concedes. There it is. Wow, good game. And that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching the Popsicleknight channel, and until next time, please stay safe and have a great day.